The next question up says, this question is about guided programming and planning around life events. My wife's pregnant with our second child and due at the end of next month. Based on my experience with our first, I know that there will probably be a couple weeks of missed or intermittent training, followed by a few months of poor recovery, mostly lack of sleep, but also other stress factors, I'm sure. With that said, I now have a home gym and I may be able to get more training in. I guess my question is, how do I adjust training appropriately? Would it make sense to switch to a lower stress training group during that period? My long-term track has been riding between just right and slightly high as it is, or would it be better to just stick with this training strategy and make a modification during the poor recovery period in order to manage stress? Really good question. My recommendation would be to stay in the training group that you're in, especially if you're getting results. And the fact that your long-term track is like basically right where we want it, that's a good indication. That's a positive indication for us. So where I would go from here is when things get crazy, just reduce your overall workload. So cut out the priority 4 session, cut out the priority 3 session if you need to. And if you have to, cut out the priority 2 session. So if you just do the workouts according to priority, don't be too hard on yourself during this period. And if you also, like, if you just don't feel like going heavy on a particular day, don't. You know that this is going to be a couple week period of craziness. Presumably you don't have a competition that's like right there. So, if the training calls for something relatively heavy and you don't really feel up to it, then don't bother. At the same time, if you do, then go for it. Take what's there based on your RPE. And again, I want to kind of go into depth, a little bit more depth on this if you don't feel like it business. If you go to the gym and you're kind of dreading putting the heavier weights on the bar or really challenging yourself in that way, which I know happens in situations like what you're going to be dealing with. It happened to me when my son was born. Just go with it. Do something, do what you do feel like doing. I would stick as close to the plan as you reasonably can. If you like, let me know, kind of when everything kicks off, and we can reboot your training cycle at that point. That'll give you, kind of a 2-week restoration block there in the beginning, and then you'll flow into a more, a more classic loading pattern from there. But even then, in the beginning, it's going to be a bit lighter, a bit lower intensity, a bit higher volume, and you'll manage the volume by, chopping out the low priority work. So that would be my recommendation for you. Just let me know when you want that to happen, and I'll get it taken care of.